So, just like I said that you go from text to photos to videos, and that's not the end of the line. There's going to be something like VR that can help us share what's going on, like the whole scene around us. I don't think VR and AR are the end of the line either. Virtual reality. There's always something that goes beyond that, and some of the stuff starts to get really sci-fi and crazy. But let me give you three examples of science research that are going on that are real today. And you know what I think we're going to get to at the end of the line, past VR, is a world where more than just being able to capture what's going on in a scene. I think you're going to be able to capture a thought, right? What you're thinking or feeling in its kind of ideal and perfect form in your head, and be able to share that with the world in a format where they can get that. And there's some pretty crazy brain research that is going on that suggests that we might be able to do this at some point. Maybe it'll probably be decades down the line, but there's this team at Berkeley, right around here, that's doing this research where they can take an MRI, right, of your brain and do an image of it, and they can take an MRI of you watching different things. So watching different TV programs, looking at a dog, a cat, doing different activities, and then they can take those activities away, and they can just do an MRI of your brain, and they tell you and then they can predict what you're thinking about and what image you're seeing in your mind's eye, just by doing the MRI and looking at the brain pattern. And that's obviously pretty far off, and there are a lot of technology and advances that are going to need to happen before that can be safe to use and something that you actually want to do, and all that. But I do think that in the future we will have the ability to just capture kind of a raw emotion or thought that we have, and if and when you want and how you want, and of course it's really important that people have the power to do this in the way that they want, be able to share that with other people. And there's also some pretty crazy research. I think there was a paper, I forget where I read this, but I think that the government was doing some research on memories in mice, where they basically had a mouse go through a maze, and it encoded the memory of how to go through the maze in its head, and then they were actually able to take the representation of that memory and zap another mouse and put that memory into that other mouse, and it's that's pretty crazy stuff. And then that mouse, without actually having ever been through the maze, was able to go do it. And so that's just kind of straight out of the Matrix, right? And that's really far off. I mean, no one's doing that on humans. But I think that it's in the future, there are all these ethical questions and all these interesting questions about how you do that well, and how you give people power so that they can do this in a way that they want. But having the ability, the raw ability over time, to be able to share a pure thought or feeling in the way that you want, and give you control over that, I think is something that 50 years from now may not be a crazy thing to think about. So, and yeah, we're not working on that, but that's a thing that down the line may be possible.